It's time for HawgSports Live from HawgSports.com, a division of 24/7 Sports, presented by Crain Automotive. The Crain Team's got 'em. Visit them online at crainteam.com. And now with the latest breaking updates on HawgSports, here's Trey Biddy.
What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HAWGsports.com. Spring football. We're right in the middle of it. We just wrapped up practice number 6 with the first major scrimmage under Ryan Silverfield at Arkansas. And Hoops Transfer Portal is opening up tomorrow for 2 weeks. It's going to be a chaotic couple of weeks. They're not up against it the same way football was, where everybody has to get enrolled and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out versus the 30-day window they had last year, the 45-day window they had before that. DJ Wagner, obviously the latest Arkansas Razorback player to announce that he is entering the transfer portal, and we'll see what's to come. We're going to be joined with Connor Goodson. He's going to help us with a little bit of the inside of what's gone on before, what's coming up next with the Hoops Transfer Portal, and I'm going to talk to you a lot about what I've seen so far in spring football. All that and more on today's episode of HawgSports Live. The Crain Automotive Team, 16, well, up to 17 locations actually. The Crain Automotive Team knows stretching your dollar is important. With prices at the pump, interest rates, and everything else, we focus on making life more affordable by offering vehicles with the highest rated fuel economy and safety features, plus a large selection of crossover and hybrid vehicles. We make it easy to get on the road with a vehicle that won't break the bank. We have a vehicle for every lifestyle and every budget. Come get one at one of our 17 locations or visit crainteam.com today. HawgSports Live is driven by the Crain Automotive Team.
You've done it. Now you're the Crain Cash Champ. You just won big with the Crain Team. Go ahead, soak it up. How could you not feel like a winner? You dominated with our low price guarantee, and you got way more for your trade. Plus, with statewide delivery on thousands of vehicles from 16 locations, and the fact that we'll beat any other dealer's price, we make our Kansans feel like champions every day. That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Visit crainteam.com.
Arkansas held its first major scrimmage under Ryan Silverfield on Saturday. It was 95 plays long. Sounds like the defense got the better of the offense. We didn't have any reported touchdown plays. A lot of field goal tries and stuff. They pretty much went up and down the field, spotting the ball at the 25-yard line. Didn't spend a lot of time focus on individual situations. Didn't go, okay, this period of time, we're just going to do live tackle, work on third downs, or we're going to work on red zone or low red zone. And there are things that came about organically, like a wide receiver is tackled at the 1-yard line, and they created a scenario, okay, it's goal line. There's 12 seconds left on the clock. The offense has to punch it in the end zone, can't settle for a field goal. And so they would create scenarios around things that just kind of happened organically like that, but there was no focus on certain aspects of the game like that. Next scrimmage, they will probably add some more of that kind of stuff, but sounds like the defense got the best of the offense. We'll go over some of the plays and stuff that happened, and I want to talk about some of the guys that have stood out to me. I've been to every practice so far, except for this last one because it was closed, but they'll open up back again tomorrow. But first, here's Ryan Silverfield, a 1-minute clip talking about the quarterback competition.
Kind of like we've done. I know some of the practices you'll come out and say, hey, this guy's getting the one. But with those scrimmages, I think you do it to the best of your ability. Hey, who's getting this guy will get with the ones and this guy will get with the twos. And then you may turn back around and you go back out there with the ones, or depending on how that series went. But KJ and AJ got the majority of the reps with the ones and twos. It was a coin toss really based off of who may have gotten the last reps. When it's all said and done at the spring game, they're going to be on separate teams most likely. And go out there. So they're, just continue that battle. KJ and AJ had good days. There's been some rotation of receivers, some linemen here or there, but just going out and, okay, who can take command of the offense and who can play efficient football? I told you guys in one of my first press conferences, right, you want quarterbacks that are efficient, and that means taking care of the football, putting the offense in the best situation. Maybe that's a check play to the other side. Maybe that's fixing the protection or taking the checkdowns when it's there. I thought they both executed at a high level.
All right, so here's what happened Saturday. Here's some of the big plays, okay? For A.J. Hill, these are his notable passing plays. Had a 30-yard pass to Ismail Cece, a 40-yard pass to Courtney Crutchfield, a 32-yard pass to Chris Marshall. Okay. KJ Jackson, his notable plays, a 33-yard pass to CC, a 26-yard screen to Braylon Russell, a 21-yard pass to Donovan Faupel, a 12-yard pass to Jamari Hawkins, and a 30-yard pass to Ty Lockwood. Okay, so with the first group, we're talking 50-something yards out of these big plays, somewhere around there, out of these big plays that happen. Again, don't have any touchdowns accounted for. This is stuff that we got after the scrimmage. Okay, the scrimmage was closed to us, unfortunately. So this is information that came after. Braden Fuller, who saw most of his work with the third team, had a 54-yard pass to Antonio Jordan, a 20-yard pass to DeQuane Prevost, who we've heard his name pop up quite a bit lately, and a 22-yarder to Courtney Crutchfield. Cam Settles had a 10-yard rush. Hodges had a 12-yard rush, a 15-yard rush. Sutton Smith had a 22-yard rush and 2-minute work. It sounds like the 2-minute drill that they ran at the end, that was also won by the defense. And it may have ended in an interception by Wyatt Simmons. I wasn't real clear. It sounded like Solarfield said the 95th play was an interception, but it wasn't real clear that he said that. Kamori House had 2 TFLs. One of those was in that goal line situation that I talked about that was created, again, organically, where and then they changed that scenario where he made a big tackle in the backfield to stop that drive by the offense. Steven Souls had a tackle for loss. Wyatt Simmons had a TFL in the interception I mentioned. Jamonte Waller had a sack, and Charlie Collins had a sack. These would have been proximity sacks. Now, there aren't any real rules. It's take care of the guy, but we've heard coaches in the past say we don't do any tackling below the waist in scrimmages. Apparently, that's not any of the stuff they do. They just try to make sure that they take care of each other. These sacks would be proximity sacks on the quarterbacks. They're not making those guys live. Some good news from the kicking game. Some good news and bad news. Max Gilbert, the transfer from Tennessee, was out with an illness, but it's not anything long-term. But the kicking game was 7 of 8. Braden McAllister was good from 32, 42, 45, and 54. Charlie Vondermeeden was good from 35, 44, and 24 and missed a 54-yarder. So 7 of 8, you'll take that. Kavion Browsard has been out with an illness. The last couple of practices, we've seen the left tackle switch between Terrence Robertson and Josiah Clemens. Both those guys have shifted around. Bryant Williams, he had a lower leg injury that's not long-term, that was suffered Thursday. I mentioned Max Gilbert's out. Phoenix Jackson has been out, the linebacker transfer. Jaden Platt and John House, the safety, and Jaden Platt, tight end, have been in green no-contact jerseys. So that's pretty much the latest as far as stats and injuries. So that was the first major scrimmage of the spring. The next practice today is April 6th. The next practice, and we had Coach Cotton and Coach Wilkerson, the defensive line coaches, today, and we spoke to Quincy Rhodes and Hunter Osborne. First time talking with Hunter Osborne, the transfer from Virginia, who was originally at Alabama. Big dude, really big dude, good-looking guy. A lot of good-looking defensive linemen, so that's definitely a positive. But practice number 7 will be at 4:15 on Tuesday. So that's what's next. They will have another scrimmage on the 11th. That'll be the second and final scrimmage before the red-white game. They'll practice on the 18th. That's not supposed to be a scrimmage. And then the red-white game on the 25th, and that'll wrap up spring drills. I want to talk a little bit about some of my impressions, position by position right now. And I hate when people do that. I hate when people say, I want to do this now. I'm just going to do it. A note to all young people, like when I see a YouTube video or something and it's like, well, today I'm going to be talking about, and I'm going to be like, just start talking about it. Just get into it. All right. I'm going to use my own advice and just get into it then. All right. So quarterback right now, I see one quarterback, and this isn't anything against A.J. Hill. I think he has a ton of potential. It's just I don't see a very clean pass. Now he had some big plays and stuff. I just don't see the ball coming out very clean from his throwing motion. He's not exceedingly fast. Like, he's not as mobile as KJ Jackson, who KJ's not just like out of this world fast. Like, he's mobile, but AJ's strength is supposed to be, he's got good size and he's a good passer. But I'm telling you guys, he just brings the ball down low and has this big elongated throwing motion, And the ball comes out wobbly a lot. It sails a lot. It's just kind of inconsistent. And to me, like, that's not going to be good enough in this conference. To me, if it were me, I would really be spending a lot of time focusing on fixing A.J. Hill's throwing motion. Mitch Stewart the other day was talking about, that, and, what do you do with it? Do you fix it? And then he kind of brought up Tim Tebow. And Tim Tebow was a really good quarterback until they started messing with his throwing motion. Well, I don't know how well he translated to the NFL anyway, but that is true. But I'm not so sure AJ is a really good passer in the first place. Like, if he was already a good passer, then that would be one thing. But I see a lot of potential in him, but that's, to me, is something that I would fix. I would go ahead and start working on fixing that. He brings it way down low here, and it just creates a lot of inconsistency. So to me, quarterback is a concern for me. Okay, because I see one real combatant in KJ Jackson. And I could be totally wrong. Guys, I could be way off base. I have not seen what A.J. Hill looks like under the lights. Matt Jones wasn't a great practice quarterback. But when the lights came on, different animal. So that's probably not totally fair, but I can just tell you, like, based on what I see so far. I see KJ Jackson as the starting quarterback. Running backs, to me, you got to be able to catch the ball if you're a running back in this offense. They're going to throw the ball a lot to the running backs. Braylon did have a catch in the scrimmage. Without seeing these guys live tackle, it's hard for me to tell, but I do like what I see out of Braylon right now. He is moving really fast. He is clearly trimmed down. And Sutton Smith brings a different element to the table, and I really want to see Cam Settles because I like the way Cam looks physically, but I want to see him run with the ball. I want to see somebody try to tackle him. Like, there's only so much you can tell from thudding up. To me, like, when you're thudding up and you've got offensive linemen going against defensive linemen, they get a lot of great work in. But the tackling part, linebackers, running backs, that to me is where those guys really get an opportunity to move up and down the depth chart, all that kind of stuff. So receivers, there's a good interview, and I can't remember who did the podcast, what the name of it is, but it's with Geiska Crowley, who is the Arkansas GM. And one of the things that Geiska says in that interview, like, to have a good team, you got to have good offensive line, good defensive line, plus play at the quarterback position, a stud wide receiver. Does Arkansas have a stud? It might be Chris Marshall. If Chris Marshall does everything that he's supposed to do, because we know that he's had instances, you can't bring up Chris Marshall's name without talk. And I get tired of doing it because, I'm sure he's trying to turn a new leaf and, put the past behind him. But you can't talk about Chris Marshall without mentioning that he had issues at Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, transferred to a junior college, had a couple of issues at Boise State, even though he was productive there. But he's got just elite talent, 6'3", 215. This is his last opportunity as a redshirt senior, former 5-star recruit. I really like what I've seen out of Courtney Crutchfield, especially compared to when he arrived last year, just out of shape. He's 20 pounds lighter than he was last year. You've also got Antonio Jordan. You've got C.J. Brown. I've liked some of the things that Donovan Faupel has done. DeQuane Prevost is a guy that you could probably see this year based on what we've seen so far. I think you could see the freshman Prevost maybe making a bit of an impact. Jamari Hawkins, Jaylen Brown, you've got some options at wide receiver, some guys that have played some ball, and Ismail Cisse. Ismail Cisse, I think he had a couple of nice catches in the scrimmage. He is a guy that, to me, could be a very reliable target for them. That's something that I noticed out of him in the spring last year. He didn't do anything just spectacular, but he was the most consistent wide receiver last spring every single day. Tight end, you got Platt, you got Lockwood. Lockwood has done some good things. I've seen him make some good catches. It'd be really big for them if he steps up and kind of realizes the recruit ranking that he was at. I've mentioned several times, Jaden Platt, Ty Lockwood, who went to Alabama, and Luke Haas were all rated right around the same, depending on the recruiting service you looked at, just one above another one. But they were all like right there, rated about the same. So if Lockwood is as good as those guys, that would be really good, obviously. Left tackle, we've seen some shakeup with Kavian Broussard being out. It's been nice to see Josiah Clemens. He's got just such good size. we've heard a lot of good things about Terrence Robertson also and his potential. Malachi Breland, who they call Goo. I can't remember what it is. He's got a nickname, but he looks like a fixture there at left guard. Caden Kittler, of course, at center. Kobe Branham at right guard. Bryant Williams at right tackle. I feel better about where they are at tackle in terms of depth. Obviously you want to get Breland and Broussard back. Broussard's just injured, just ill, but you want to get those guys back. But you got Adam Hawks. I wouldn't mind seeing Hawks maybe get a little bit of work inside, because right now you're looking at, Davion Weatherspoon. I'm just a little skeptical. I think he wanted to come here and test his mettle against the SEC. He's an all-MAC performer. I don't think he's as tall as I am. I'm about 6'1.5". I think he's a little bit shorter than I am. And I just worry about, getting gobbled up by some of these defensive tackles in the SEC at that size. But I'm sure also he's very strong fundamentally. He really understands leverage. I'm sure he's strong as an ox. So it's an interesting situation to watch, but I'm a little concerned about the depth, the backup center, all that kind of stuff. I think you look at Hawks inside, give him a little bit of work on the interior if it were me. Hey, before we get over to defense, I'd like to tell you about our buddies over at Bittle Armstrong. Some of you guys already know Bittle Armstrong very well, because you use them like I do. And you guys know how much I value long-standing relationships. Well, I've known Bo Bittle for 25 years. And when I needed car insurance, when I needed homeowners insurance, when I needed insurance, business insurance for HawgSports, I called Bittle Armstrong. Bo, Rob Armstrong, and their team have over 100 years combined experience. They work with you just like Auto Owners Insurance works with them. Expect local support from somebody you know. Questions about your policy? Call Bittle Armstrong direct rather than a 1-800 number. Auto Owners Insurance intended it that way so you don't have to wait on hold forever. Don't settle for a generic policy, whether you're in wherever you are in Northwest Arkansas. Give Bittle Armstrong a call at 479-443-0808 or visit ba-ins.com. Auto Owners Insurance owns an AM Best rating A+ Superior. They trust people like Bo to work for you. Bittle Armstrong Insurance. Coverage you need, people you trust. All right, let's get to this defense now. I'll tell you what I like about Bittle Armstrong and Bo Bittle. They listen to every episode we do and have forever. So it's nice to have people that support the show, support what we do in that way too. Okay, so we've covered offensive line pretty well. Defensive line, I think, could be – hold on. I think it could be a strength of the team. I know. It could. I think they could have the strength of their defense on this defensive line. And it's because the numbers. I love the numbers. Quincy Rhodes is back, obviously. David Oakey working that nose tackle spot, 6'2", 312. And Hunter Osborne as the defensive tackle. Now, we've talked about how this is structured, okay? You've got a zero tech. You've got 2 4-eye players, a defensive tackle who's a little bit bigger, a defensive end who goes, 275 or so, who's opposite that jack. Okay, the jack being Charlie Collins, most likely. Could be Jamonte Waller, could be Steven Souls. Those are the 3 guys. I think they got 3 good candidates there. So let's talk about some of these guys. So these are the guys that are going to play for him this year. Quincy Rhodes, Zadavian Sims, Caleb Bell. Those guys are more like the ends. Okay, Bell was here last year, a guy that I really liked out of all those young defensive linemen, but he's probably the 3rd guy, behind Rhodes and Sims, and then Caleb Bell. Defensive nose tackle, you've got Oakey, who had 63 tackles for Abilene Christian, was a well-regarded transfer addition for him last year, just didn't play. They really like what they're seeing out of Carlin Jones, the USC transfer. Carlin Jones, again, he's a redshirt sophomore. Statistically, this is according to our guy, Razorbacks in NYC, who loves the analytic stuff. A defensive lineman, on average, starts contributing about 2.56 years. I think that was the number, 2.57 years into college. That's about, on average, when they start making an impact. And that's the age that a lot of these guys are. Quincy Rhodes, that's when Quincy last year started making an impact. He's playing behind Landon Jackson. It's the same case with Carlin Jones. They're playing behind really highly regarded guys at USC. Same deal for Zadavian Sims, who I just mentioned, who they call Day Day, by the way. He's Day Day, and his brother, he's got a twin brother they call Craig off of Friday. I don't know if that's a personality deal. maybe Zadavian's a real cut up. Anyway, so Carlin Jones, who they seem really high on, and then you've also got Trajan Odom, who's a little bit younger. Trajan's a redshirt freshman who came from Ohio State. But isn't that interesting? Like we just talked about, a guy in Zadavian Sims who is a sophomore who should be coming into his own, comes from Oregon. Carlin Jones coming from USC, who's a sophomore, same story. Trajan Odom coming from Ohio State, redshirt freshman. And then, of course, a guy who's maybe a little bit more developed with is Hunter Osborne, who started his career at Alabama, played a big role for Virginia last season. So, if you think about that's where the transfer portal can really change things for Arkansas, because and not just transfer portal, but NIL and the incorporation of all those things together. That's where you can kind of change things, because again, you're talking about in another scenario, you beat out Oregon for Zadavian Sims, you beat out USC for Carlin Jones, you beat out Ohio State for Trajan Odom, you beat out Alabama for Hunter Osborne. I know that's like the cherry sweet way to present it, but if you kind of think about it that way, that's where they, if you'd have beaten those teams out for those guys in high school, which you never would have done, people would be doing backflips in the street. And these guys are all around the same age too. It'd be like 3 classes together getting guys like this. So the good thing is I named off a lot of guys for 3 spots. You've also got Reginald Vaughn coming back from last year's team. I mentioned Caleb Bell. You've got Keandre Johnson coming back. Trent Sellers coming back, who Trent's more of a jack now, the jack is just more of a hybrid line. Actually, the jacks really don't even work with the defensive line that much. They really like what they've seen out of Danny Beal. They really like what they've seen out of Anthony Kennedy, the 2 freshman defensive linemen. It's if we were spanning 4 classes of what they've done on the defensive line, they got Quincy Rhodes, they got Hunter Osborne, a couple of 4 stars. And next year, they got Carlin Jones, they got Zadavian Sims. Last year, they brought in Trajan Odom, Caleb Bell, Keandre Johnson, Trent Sellers. So on and so forth. Last year, what they bring? They brought in Danny Beal. They brought in Anthony Kennedy. Colton Yarborough. That's what the transfer portal can do for you. It's not direct recruiting classes, but you kind of circumvent it. Sorry, Connor, I'm getting to you. I'm just running a little bit behind here. Let's get to linebacker real quick. Bradley Shaw, done some good things. Wyatt Simmons. The guy that's jumped out to me at linebacker has been Jaquavian Smith. I brought him up. What day was that? Was that Saturday that I brought him up? But, what I noticed, this guy's running with the first team. This is the guy from Howard, a guy that's not really highly celebrated coming in and has just done one good thing after another. He's been rolling with the first group, practice after practice. Really like seeing Christian Harrison work field safety, because you got Kamori House at the star, which is the nickel position. If you feel good about Tyler Scott behind him, then that's a good tandem there at the star position, and you can afford to put Christian Harrison there. Christian Harrison, Carter Stoutmeyer, Miguel Mitchell. Now you're talking about some guys with some Power 5 experience at the safety spot. And you've got some other guys in there competing at the safety. And then I like what they have done at cornerback with Lakai Rowland and Jaheim Johnson, Shelton Lewis, Brandon Lee or Braden Lee. I think he might be banged up also. Anyway, that's just kind of a rundown of what they got going right now. I don't dislike the personnel individually. Now it's about getting them to all on the same page, having the right attitude, coaching, preaching the fundamentals, taking care of the football, and having a quarterback, which is my biggest concern, which is unfortunate because I do like the roster that they've assembled. I'm not sure about quarterback, and I'm not sure they're sure about quarterback. So if you don't have a quarterback, then it's kind of all for naught, because you have to have a good quarterback in this day and age in college football. You can't just, like, some schools can get away with it because they're so ultra talented, but Arkansas can't. Arkansas has to have a good quarterback. Okay, we're going to bring Connor in. Sorry for the delay, Connor. I got going on one. Connor's going to join us here on the Ozarks Go hotline. If you're looking for fast, reliable, steady, consistent, tremendous, wonderful internet service, then you should check out our friends over at Ozarks Go. 479-684-4900 or go to ozarksgo.net/hawg. That's HAWG. Find out if they're available in your area. I've been a customer of theirs for, like, I guess going on 5 years now, and been extremely pleased. And I've had a lot of different internet service providers. Connor, how's it going?
Can't complain too much, man. How was your Easter weekend? Anything eventful happen?
It was good. We went over to our friends, the Bittles. Who's also some of our new show sponsors, but we're good family friends with them. And we had a big spread and went to church at over at Central Methodist, and went over to the Bittles and had Easter brunch, and then laid around all day, which was really nice to do. What about you?
Nice. Yeah, I've just spent a lot of time with family, man. Went over to Hot Springs and made the rounds out there. Saw the in-laws, saw, my side of the family. It's just Easter's a fun time, man. This time of year is really, really, the weather's great. Yeah, it's just fun. And then obviously you got basketball. We got the championship game tonight, and then chaos ensues tomorrow with the portal opening finally.
Yeah. So we know that Connor Knox hit the transfer portal. He was the first one to go. And I'm not so sure that they were just like, hey, go find somewhere else. I think it's just like Carter looking for a change of scenery. And this is on April 3rd. So those of you who are wondering if you should sign up at HawgSports and get inside information, this is Connor Goodson, April 3rd. After the news of Connor Knox hitting the portal has settled down, I've been told by one staff source, and I don't know, you said swept national. What does that mean? Is that a typo?
Yeah, I think I got a little ahead of myself there, but yeah, it was a national source, a guy who doesn't cover just one team specifically.
Yeah, and they said to keep an eye on DJ Wagner. And this is April 3rd. Of course, now it's April 6th, and DJ Wagner has announced that he is entering the transfer portal. And I don't think he's a guy that they were just like, hey, you got to go, somewhere else, like getting processed type of deal. I think it's just a situation with DJ, probably, see what other opportunities are out there, and probably wants to be a starting point guard, and maybe that's not guaranteed for him at Arkansas.
Yeah, well, if you look at the way his career has played out, he's kind of been that team first guy. He's okay with taking the back seat, not playing the most minutes unless he really has to. And he's sacrificed a lot to play under Cal and develop under Cal his first 3 seasons. So I think coming into this portal season and in this off season, if Arkansas wasn't going to be able to guarantee DJ Wagner that he was going to have, a big role, then he was going to look elsewhere. And I think that if you want to play basketball beyond college, you've got to have some tape of you being able to, make plays and do stuff when you're the guy. And I think that that's what DJ Wagner and those in his circle really wanted, is for his last year of college to go somewhere where he can be the guy and have that kind of initiator role where the ball's in his hands more than it's not. So, I don't think that there's any ill will or anything. I don't think it was a disagreement over money. It's just the role that he's going to have somewhere else is going to be bigger than what Arkansas could promise him right now. And obviously with the not knowing what Malik Thomas is going to do, not knowing what they're going to target in the portal yet, that obviously played into DJ being like, hey, I need to look out for myself more than wait and see what's going to be waiting at Arkansas. So yeah, that's sucks to see DJ go. I liked him. I like talking to him a lot. He's a great player, great team first guy, but just going for a bigger opportunity elsewhere, it looks like.
Yeah. And, some of the stuff that we've kind of also alluded to, also Calipari was on Barstool Live earlier on the 3rd, I believe. And then, kind of said with Malik Thomas and Billy Richmond, it kind of depends on what their draft stock is. If they are projected in the second round, you could fall into that kind of trap where you're locked into the league minimum contract, $1.7 million. And, I think the odds are better that Malik Thomas starts hearing hey, you're going to be drafted in the first round. Richmond, I don't know that is what's going to end up happening for him. So I would expect that they get Richmond back.
Yeah.
But both of those guys could decide to, test the waters and see what NBA teams are saying, kind of like Carter Knox did last year.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great point. I think that Billy is going to approach this similar to how Carter did last year, where he's just going to go through the process, see what scouts say, because I do know, talking to some scouts over the season, scouts love Billy Richmond and what he's able to bring, his kind of his frame, the way he plays. It's just they need to see more offensively. So I think that he's going to go through the process, get some of that feedback and know what he needs to do and what he needs to prove to them next year. Whereas Malik Thomas, I think he's going through the process more to see if he can't get a first round guarantee from a team. And if he does that, I think he's gone. But I have heard that he's way more open to the opportunity of returning next year than initially thought, which I think is a good sign. And right now I'm not seeing his name in those consensus draft boards in the first round yet. Mm-hmm. So we'll see as they go through the process where they kind of shake out at.
I've seen him projected anywhere from like 18 to 38, which is a pretty wide range, considering where you see most guys. But what I had heard, Connor, a while back was, they're going to work to bring those guys back. Obviously didn't work out with Knox and Wagner, who, I think they really wanted Wagner back, but probably just didn't work out. But and I'd heard Malik Ewing is likely gone, and they're going to bring in 4 bigs. But does that change now? Obviously, you still have to bring in bigs, and when I say bring in 4 bigs, that doesn't necessarily mean 4 outstanding players, because you got to have some depth, and not everybody's going to be a superstar. But do you look at now bringing in a point guard out of the portal?
I think you have to. I think you have to get someone, because with Jordan Smith Jr., he's an incredible talent. He's not he's not Darius Acuff, but he's an exceptional talent. He's really talented at both ends of the floor. He's still kind of trying to develop some of those lead guard skills that DJ Wagner already has. So when you look at building this roster, it would have been nice to have a veteran like DJ Wagner, who's been through the gauntlet of the SEC and has been in big moments, to have when you have a freshman who you don't know how he's going to, you don't know exactly how he's going to fare under the lights when the pressure's on. So I think that they're going to really kind of look at some of those guys who are okay with more of a backup role, but that have a lot of experience. And there's not going to be a lot of high-end guys out there. They're going to be like, okay, I'm fine coming and playing behind a freshman. But I do think that you've got to kind of tailor that approach to maybe getting someone who has experience and has been in big moments. And if you have to pay a little bit more to bring someone in, I think that could affect things for the front court. But I do expect them to go after a point guard. And I think that when things start, we'll probably see them focus a little bit on the front court first, just to get some of that out of the way, because that market's going to be crazy. But I definitely expect them to get some insurance policies in the backcourt, definitely. And
right now, also with Malik Ewing, he does not have a waiver, and that's something that you would have to sit around and wait on. Yeah. So the roster right now, you've got Jordan Smith, Abdou Toure, J.J. Andrews, all coming in as freshmen. You've got Darius Acuff is undecided, but he's going to the NBA, obviously. DJ Wagner, who just announced, Carter Knox, who just announced, Malik Thomas, who we're kind of waiting to see. He would probably be the most iffy guy left on the roster. I hear things are pretty much done with Sealy in terms of coming back. Billy Richmond, I think they get him back. So you could just be looking at maximum 3 guys back in terms of the guys that were, playing and, guys that were in the main rotation. And then who knows on, Kareem Ratal and Samito and all those guys, what kind of situation they'll be in. So what do you think, who are some guys that you've got your eye on, Carter? We talked about the kid from Georgia, Cyril. Who else?
Yeah, so I think Cyril's the big guy right now that a lot of people are going to be watching closely. I think that Arkansas is going to make him a priority for sure once the portal opens. And I think that, I don't know if you'll see things move quick, but I think that you'll see the market and who's really at the top of the battle for his services. I think that'll be pretty clear pretty quick. But yeah, there's some different guys. I think that you need to have if you can't get Ewan back, if you don't bring him back, and you're not, there's uncertainty with his waiver and all that stuff. I think you kind of got to get someone who's a little bit more experienced there as well, but maybe more of a project. I thought that a guy like Mosila from Georgia Tech would be good, but then I looked into Georgia Tech and they've got a guy, Bai Ndongo, who I have kind of fallen in love with the last 24 hours looking at his film and stuff. He's a 6'9", 240-pound forward, and he's a little rough around the edges, but he's really, I think he showed up in a lot of their games against big name competition. And I think that he's a guy that can get in there, and he really checks the boxes for everything that Calipari has laid out that he wants. And I think that you could see him really, I think Arkansas will probably be interested in that, and hopefully they get in the mix there. Jordan Burks is a name that we've talked about. It feels like every portal cycle, but he started his career at Kentucky. I've heard he's not in the portal yet, but I've heard that he could be looking at another move. It would be his fourth team in 4 years, but started at Kentucky, went to Georgetown, and would be transferring out of Central Florida. Sorry. He's a 6'9" guy, but more of a stretch four. He can really shoot it. A really good shooter from deep. So I think that he's a guy that could give them another look, and obviously the Cal connections there. So those are guys that I'm looking at. I'll have a bigger list too. There's a pretty decent amount of guys that I've got on my list, but I'll have that list up there later tonight of guys that I'm really, really looking at that I think Arkansas can maybe get in the conversation for and land a couple of these guys.
Connor, I think we both might have gone 500. Did you pick Michigan?
I don't think – I think I went with Arizona, but I think I went with Arizona. I don't think that I got either one of those games correct.
Yeah, I think I went 500 on my picks last week, but I had Arizona beating Michigan, and so I obviously did not even imagine that they would beat Arizona the way that they did. The line on this game, this is according to Bet Saracen, Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. The line on this game is Michigan -6.5. The over/under is 146.5. What do you like?
I like Michigan. I think this could be one of those deals where UConn keeps it close and kind of play out how the UConn-Illinois game did in my mind. I think UConn keeps it close, but Michigan makes plays down the stretch. I kind of like Michigan to cover here. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm feeling. But Yaxel Lindeborg, is he going to be healthy? Like,
yeah, that's the question.
With his, I think it was.
Well, they didn't need him against Arizona.
Yeah, they didn't need him, but man, that's the blueprint. If you're looking at building a front court, that right there is the blueprint with the Mara Johnson and Yaxel. But yeah, they looked really good without him. I don't know if he's able to go, or if he's not able to give them much. Does that affect them this game? I don't know, but I do like Michigan. I just think that they're the more well-rounded team, and they've kind of proven it more, I feel like, in big moments this season. But
yeah. UConn's kind of been living on a prayer in a way.
Yeah.
Obviously. But, you almost like, part of me is just like the way that things have happened for them with that huge shot and the weird headbutt thing. Like, what's interesting to me, like, people are like, him and that ref are friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're friends. Do I ever put my head on yours? Like, no. I don't think I've ever put my head on any of my buddies' forehead before and just like looked him in the eye. Like, that's very strange behavior.
No. Did you hear
he's a strange guy?
Did you hear Hurley compare? I don't know if it was before the game or after the game. He was comparing their run to the '90s Duke team, to where they like won back-to-back. They got eliminated in the first round the next year after they won back-to-back championships, and then he was talking about Arkansas and Duke in '94, how Duke, made it to the national championship game but came up short, and he's like, hopefully that pattern doesn't continue. I think maybe that pattern does continue, and then I think maybe we see Michigan win this thing. But I thought it was cool that he was kind of comparing that to the symmetry there between Duke and UConn's runs.
I always wonder how you feel as a coach, like when the guy that comes in after you like does really well. Like, how does Juwan Howard feel? Like, there was a lot of hype around him coming in, it just shows like former really good players, like same with Stackhouse at Vanderbilt. Like he had every opportunity to succeed there and couldn't get it done. But I always wonder how coaches feel when somebody comes in behind them and just blows their performance out of the water.
Yeah.
Which is
it can't be a great feeling, but
it can't be.
I know.
It's got to make you question a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right,
sure.
Connor. Anything else to add?
Not really, man. I'm excited to see what happens with this portal cycle. It's a very fun time of year. So y'all go follow our stuff over at HawgSports.com and obviously sign up for VIP because that's how you read most of our content.
Yep. VIP over at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. Again, there's a lot of great content. We're going to really paint the picture for you, keep up with how the roster's shaping up, the names that are popping up, the names that you really need to watch, and more as this thing progresses. Now, again, you got 14 days of the portal. It doesn't mean that the portal wraps up. It just means you got 14 days to enter the portal. Exactly. You're not up against it like you are with football, where you have to get enrolled for the upcoming semester. So it could drag on a little bit.
Yeah. But
all right, Connor. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Trey.
All right, everybody. That's Connor Goodson. Follow him at Connor Goodson on X and read his content at HawgSports.com. And it's an important time to read his content because there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out in the coming days. Okay. Hey, Blakeman's Fine Jewelry, proud to be the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Ben Blakeman and his team had an exciting year in their new flagship space at 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway in Rogers, Arkansas, and are continuing their signature hospitality and service in 2026. Visit them, and they'll offer to clean your jewelry, offer you a coffee beverage from Cafe B or a glass of their own Blakeman's Prosecco, which, by the way, is offered at various stores in Northwest Arkansas. If you can't make it, did you know that you can also shop them online at BlakemansFineJewelry.com? So it's time to start thinking about Mother's Day. So visit them at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry, again, 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway in Rogers. Built on tradition since 1987, Blakeman's has been Northwest Arkansas's trusted destination for exceptional jewelry and personalized service. We're going to questions. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Darius Acuff, the consensus All-American point guard. I mean, came out yesterday, but he won, or day before yesterday, but he won the Bob Cousy Award for the best point guard in the country. More congratulations for Darius Acuff. All right, let's check out some questions now. Raw Hog says, what's your way too early view of starting O-line? I'm encouraged by the offensive line, actually. It's difficult to say in a way, but again, because there hasn't been a live tackle, I don't know how good they are as run blockers, but I think that they have a chance to be pretty solid, maybe comparable to last season. Getting Bryant Williams in was a big deal for him. He was a very highly regarded guy. You got Kobe Brandon back. You got Caden Kittler back. And Caden, was a tremendous upgrade for them at center the previous year. And Malachi Breland. Goo-wop. Is that what they call him? Goo or something. Goo, G-U-U-U-U. And then, left tackle is a little bit more of a mystery but I think they've got some good candidates at left tackle. So I do think that they have a chance to be okay on the offensive line. Joshua 11 says, after getting to know Coach Silverfield, what is one reason he will succeed as the head coach at Arkansas, and what do you like most about him compared to the last few head coaches? I do feel like that there's a little bit more of a, accountability, but like I hear things like Coach Silverfield, got on their ass the other day, about such and such. But what I see out of him is there is attention to detail. And hopefully that's real, because I've heard coaches preach that before. And some of the things I've heard behind the scenes is like, oh, that's disappointing to hear, about how they actually carry on. So I have heard that a lot. There's a high attention of detail. There is very much that, him holding people accountable. I would say that's why he could succeed at Arkansas. I don't know that he will succeed at Arkansas yet. It's still very early. Now, I like talking to him. He is a little cliche with some of the things that he says. He's a little coach speaky. That's just kind of part of it, I think. You don't want to give everything away, but I do think that he is very driven. So there's that. I worry about quarterback. I just you can do all the things in terms of building your roster up, and you make that mistake at quarterback, and and hopefully I wouldn't say I'm wrong. I'm not saying they're going to stink at quarterback either. Okay. I'm just saying I'm worried about it. Okay. So I want to make sure that distinction is clear. I'm not saying that they're going to be bad at quarterback. I'm just saying I'm worried about quarterback because it's such an unknown. And I think they got one guy who's not quite ready of the two combatants. So there's kind of a default, there's your starter, Coltap says, what is the story on Kareem, Paolo, and Elmir? I don't know that any of those guys are going to play here. So they're kind of like walk-ons, in my opinion. We are dying for inside size, and we have 2 over 7 feet. And one of those looks like he could shift to offensive tackle on the football team, but we never see them except in team picture. Will they contribute or just be scrimmage fodder or the topic? I think just scrimmage fodder. Now, Ratal, I think, was injured, so maybe I don't know how long that injury lasted, but I think that they're going to bring in 4 bigs to come in and play, and I don't think it's going to be any of these guys, in my opinion. So the guy from Florida announced he was entering the transfer portal. The guy that's 7'9", and I was like, "Ooh, that guy'd be nice to add." And I go back and I go watch the video, and I'm like, "Oh, it would be so bad to be 7'9" and not be able to play basketball. You're on a team just because you're 7'9", but your skills are just you can't play. So just because you're 7 feet tall doesn't mean you can play." Ozark Safari said, did Coach Cal really say that they don't have as much money going into this portal? I don't think that's what he was saying. I think he was talking to people in general. People saying people don't even have any recruits coming in. They don't know that they're going to have the same money that they have. I don't believe that that's the case for Arkansas this year. I think they're going to have a bunch of $1 million plus players on the court again. Or was that taken out of context? I think it was. I think you just took it out of context. They've got several $1 million to spend on this roster, and they already have. I mean, you think Jordan Smith is coming in cheap, the number 2 ranked prospect in the nation, just going to, I really want to play for Cal, so I'll do, No, he costs several $1 million to bring in here. He really wants to play for Cal, but he also costs several $1 million. Yeah, I think that was misinterpreted by some people. Okay, let's see if we got any interesting comments real quick. We'll have to check out here in a minute. Captain Phillips and Flying Burrito ain't doing nothing but scoring talent in the stands. What? What are you talking about? Guys, some of the comments, I can't. Why did you see KJ that you didn't like last year? He did not struggle. Top level defense. I just haven't seen. It's not that I don't like KJ. It's just that I have not seen him in a critical situation, in a moment where he had the ball in his hands and there's, the game's on the line. He's just inexperienced. And the main problem I have, the concern I have, is I feel like he's the only guy starting, competing for the starting job. And I don't mean that against A.J. Hill. I just think that he needs to refine his throwing motion. I think he needs to be a better passer if he's going to start in the SEC. So it's not that I see things I don't like in KJ. It's just more that what I haven't seen. I haven't seen him in those situations. And I don't like that. To me, he's going to be the starting quarterback, and it's not the competition that I'd hoped it was going to be. And I could be wrong on that. Again, I've not seen these guys live, and it's not that they've been live. They're not live bullets either. But sometimes a guy, and I say that I can remember the first scrimmage that I watched with Matt Jones. And I remember the first team and second team and all that stuff coming out, and guys are having trouble moving the ball up and down the field, and it's just not happening. And then they put Matt Jones in there at quarterback, And I think it was like the second or third team against the first team, and he moved the ball. He moved them all the way down the field. And this was before he was Matt Jones. And they ended up moving him to wide receiver for a little bit too. But I just remember thinking, like, this guy just moved them all the way down the field. Okay. Oh, I haven't asked about new uniforms. Thank you for reminding me, Marquise Visuals, because I've said I'm going to do that. I need to ask that question. Thank you for reminding me. When is Silverfield next? Silverfield, next opportunity. It's a long time. Oh my gosh. It's not till the 25th. I got 19 days till I talk to Silverfield again. That's a long time. Maybe I can figure something out through sports information or something. All right, guys. Appreciate you hopping on with us. We'll have some more stuff Thursday. We're going to have Danny West on Thursday because there was a lot of recruits in town over the weekend, and I guess more will be coming in. So we'll talk to him on Thursday, get kind of a rundown of everything going on there with recruiting side of things also. And pay attention to HawgSports for all the transfer portal stuff that's coming up. Last thing, the Back Nine Golf. If you're wanting to work on your game, go visit theback9golf.com and scroll over locations, Arkansas and Fayetteville. My guy, Jody Hendricks, has you taken care of over there. Jody opened this up a couple months ago, I don't know. And I go up there all the time. They've got Wi-Fi, they've got massage chairs, they've got 4 hitting bays, they've got a bar, they've got seating, they got a pool table. It's a really cool setup. It's BYOB, so you can bring your own beer, bring your own beverage, whatever you want to do. Bring your sandwich, get in there, work on your game, play St. Andrews or TPC Sawgrass or whatever, and they've got the full swing simulators with the lasers and all that stuff. So go check them out at theback9golf.com. You can book a free demo online. There's several different membership options, ways to sign up. So go check those folks out over at the Back Nine Golf. All right. Appreciate Connor Goodson for hopping on. Appreciate all of our sponsors. Appreciate all of you guys for making this show what it is. Give us that 5-star review if you haven't done so already. We certainly would appreciate that. And sign up at HawgSports, HawgSports.com. All right, everybody. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.